Ready to go, Jay?
Yes.
All right, terrific. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight. Video of this meeting is streamed on YouTube and will also be available on Facebook and the village's website. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Clerk Saladino to call the roll.
Trustee Augustine.
Here.
Trustee Gale.
Here.
Trustee McGee.
Here.
Trustee O'Brien.
Here.
Trustee Peterson.
Here.
President Kukler.
Here. And we have a quorum. Can we get Trustee Thompson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance up there?
Please stand.
Thank you, President Kukler. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, Glenn, you don't have to stand down. You can actually stand. You're going to be first on our list here. For item A resolution for appreciation for Trustee Glenn Thompson. As many know, on July 31st, Trustee Thompson resigned his position as he's in the process of moving out of state for a job opportunity. We, of course, wish him all the best in his future endeavors, and we want to make sure he knows how much we appreciate his efforts to make LaGrange a better place. One way to show our appreciation is through a resolution of appreciation, which I'll read, and then we have a couple of presentations, and I'll open it up for trustees. Whereas Glenn Thompson has served as a village trustee for 3 years from 2023 to 2026. He was a member of the Environmental Quality Commission from 2021 to 2023, generously sharing his time and determination for betterment of the village. And whereas during his service as village trustee and the Environmental Quality Commission, Glenn was a driving force for the mitigation of flooding in LaGrange. Whereas Glenn has demonstrated outstanding leadership to the community through his thoughtful consideration, thorough review, and insightful comments on matters brought before the village board. And whereas, as an ambassador for LaGrange, Glenn worked to further strengthen LaGrange's position to local and state organizations in pursuit of flood mitigation. And whereas, Glenn's commitment to the duties of the Environmental Quality Commission and then village trustee are shining example of what can be accomplished through the service to one's community for all who are part of the LaGrange community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by village president, village clerk, and the board of trustees of LaGrange, we do hereby extend our respect, appreciation, and sincere gratitude to Glenn Thompson for his years of public service. And be it further resolved that Glenn Thompson shall take with him a genuine appreciation for his contributions to the LaGrange community and then sincere wishes for the very best in the future. So thank you, Glenn, from the village of LaGrange. You were definitely instrumental in setting up Dry Up LaGrange, which was really our first grassroots effort. And it made a lasting impression, not only on other residents, but truly on our elected state representatives and our congressmen. They were definitely impressed by the number of members and willing to provide funding because of that organization. He also contributed meaningfully at all of our meetings, and to that I truly appreciate it. And with that, I would open it up to trustee comments. Trustee Peterson.
So I want to say thank you. Glenn and I did not know each other when he first came, but got to know him through Dry Up LaGrange. I think he walked with me on one of the pet parades. But one of the things he did do was take me in one of his trucks around to the depression areas, specifically the 50th Street depression area. So I was able to actually view the topography of the land and saw where a lot of the flooding was coming from. That was very helpful. A little bit more fun was when we campaigned together at the 25 consolidated election, and Glenn, myself, and Trustee Gale were guest bartending at 1416. So I just wanted to tell everybody that a real bad storm blew through town right as we started. We didn't think anybody'd show up, but we actually did serve some guests, and we had a lot of fun. So we're going to miss you, Glenn. Had a lot of fun, learned a lot. Thanks very much for your time.
I'll go next, since I know the president is busy. So Glenn, thank you so much for your service to the village. Thank you so much for your leadership and your experience that you brought to this role. Thank you for your friendship as well. It was a great experience working with you. It was a great experience campaigning with you. You will definitely be missed, and you're an easy man to like, and so that'll make it harder to not have you up here with us. But thank you very much for your service. Greatly appreciated.
Trustee O'Brien.
Glenn, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for all your hard work with Dry Up LaGrange. It's been great to get to know you and see you in the neighborhood walking the dog and, making sure everyone's houses are not flooding or what have you. And you worked hard for the village, you worked hard for Dry Up LaGrange. We're going to miss you. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler. Well, I remember when I met Glenn, I'd heard about him before, but I happened to miss, I think my one and only miss of a board meeting was when Dry Up LaGrange showed up here en masse. I was on a family vacation. So shortly thereafter, I went to a Dry Up meeting, walked into a hornet's nest, and that's how I met you. And it was a great experience. We talked for, 2 hours of the meeting and 2 hours in the parking lot afterwards, and I really got to know who you were. So when I knew you were considering coming on board, I thought this is going to be a good fit. And you came in with Dry Up LaGrange front of mind, but you gave equal measure to everything else that we are asked to oversee, understand, question, and then vote on. You listened intently to residents and businesses, and you care about the outcomes and concerns they had in a material way. You came to every meeting prepared, did the homework, and asked important questions, and sought clarity. In your time, you made a real big difference in many, many ways, much of which happens away from this dais. We didn't agree, you and I, on all of the politics at large in the world, but it never factored into what we do on this board. When it came to the matters of our local community, of LaGrange, we were in close alignment. We worked closely and very well. I very much valued your opinion, cherished our deliberations, and the things we accomplished together on this board. I am very happy for you, Glenn, but LaGrange has lost a vital public servant, and I will miss you and our long conversations about the issues and paths forward. It has been an honor, and all my best to you.
Trustee McGee.
And I wrote a short goodbye. I just want to say thank you, Glenn. We had a lot of fun. We shared some wonderful moments, and I learned so much from you along the way. I am truly grateful for your time, your kindness, and everything that you brought into my journey here as a trustee. Sometimes goodbye is difficult because it reminds us just how much someone has meant to us. But rather than simply saying goodbye, I choose to say thank you for all the memories. Thank you for your laughter. Thank you for your lessons. Thank you for the times that we shared. And thank you for just simply being Glenn Thompson. When I needed a ride to and from meetings, you were always there, and I can't thank you enough. As you move forward into the next chapter of your journey, may God go before you, walk beside you, and bless every step that you take. And I pray that the Lord will bless you and keep you, and his grace will forever continually be upon your life. It's been a real pleasure knowing you. I consider you a true friend. God bless you.
Speak, or should we have Glenn speak and then vote on this resolution that we? Why don't you speak, Glenn, and then we'll.
You might vote against me at that point. First off, let me just say thank you so much for your kind comments. It's been such a pleasure serving on the board, working with the village, both prior to being on the board with Dryap Grange, from working directly with the Public Works Department as we went around trying to help secure and figure out where the flooding is, to working again, like you said, President Kukler, working with the state, local, and federal officials to bring recognition to our issues. It was truly a joy. But working with you guys was truly an honor. I've really appreciated getting to know each and every one of you. Our fire department, our police department, I really have enjoyed working with your officers and getting to know them. Like the Public Works Department, we have a very special group here in LaGrange of dedicated employees at all levels, and it's just been an honor to work here. This was something not planned. It was an opportunity that just kind of came out of the blue, that blossomed into being a full-time role, and it was to a point where, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Not mafia terms, but, it was just too good to pass up. So we talked about commuting and that, and it just became more apparent that it would be easier just to relocate. So we're looking forward to the adventure in Florida. It's been such a pleasure working not only on the flooding thing, and I think now that we've gotten through the quarry litigation, we're getting to the point where we're going to build 50th Street. I feel very comfortable in the fact that now is a good time to leave the board and turn it over to new and capable hands. The fact that we've worked with the League of Women Voters, very special group that I've enjoyed working with, and getting the housing committee or commission or whatever you want to call it, not a board or a commission, as some have implied. It's been a pleasure working with them and all that stuff. The one thing I've seen in the last couple of months is, people give me a hard time that, you got to watch out for alligators in Florida. And I do have a pet alligator in my backyard, not a pet, but he's there every day to say hello when I get home from work. But, we do have a few alligators here in LaGrange, and we always have to work with them. And it's been unfortunate that some have taken the wrong stances in the way they've worked with how well this village works. But again, we'll continue to move on, for I know you guys will charter those waters and avoid getting bit, and we'll move forward. But again, thank you so much for everything this village has meant to us. It's been a very special place to live, and we're going to miss it. So thank you very much.
Before you sit down, let's formally vote on the proclamation with a roll call vote.
Do you need a motion?
Sure.
A motion for approval of the proclamation?
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale, and Trustee Augustine. Call.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye. Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
So it seems like that bulldog made it.
And that passes unanimously. Glenn, we do have a couple of things for you. We're just finishing up one item, so just give us 2 minutes.
Maybe explain to us what your neighbor's reaction is going to be when you roll out a Mississippi State Bulldog flag.
Well, the nice thing is Florida is made up of a lot of Southeastern Conference people. So I actually work for a Florida Gator and a Georgia, that other Bulldog, that Junior League Bulldog. So they're getting used to it. I'm going to make sure that my golf cart is maroon so I can put my maroon Bulldog stuff all over it for sure.
Glenn, we have a couple of things for you. You have a picture of the village hall. Sunny, no drought, LaGrange, no rain. Very sunny. So that's terrific. Thank you very And we have a copy of the proclamation for your new office down in Florida. We appreciate everything you did, Glenn. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Do a group photo too? All right. Down in front? I think we're gonna have to get closer, right? Do you need us in front of this, or can we stand here? How's it work? All right. So that we look taller?
Major award.
All right, we are not done with the proclamations. Item B is a proclamation establishing Sunday, September 13th as Race Unity Day. Before we read the proclamation, I'd like to share that Diversity Days are ahead, and this year, Tamika Killens, an LT teacher and the STEP team coach, will be recognized with the Mini Car Service Award, and former Community Diversity Group Board Officer Sherry Robinson will be honored with the Diversity Achievement Award at the annual Unity Rally, which will be held here in this auditorium, the Village Hall, on, again, Sunday, September 13th at 3 p.m. It's always well attended. It's always a lot of fun, so please come out. Reverend Meredith Onion of the First Congregational Church of Western Springs is performing the invocation, and Catherine Paget, who's here, immediate past president of the LaGrange Area Historical Society, will be speaking. There will also be a short performance by the LT High School STEP team and the Caring Place Children's Choir. There will also be a movie screening and a discussion on the movie My Omaha, which will play Friday, September 18th at the LaGrange Library at 6 p.m. My Omaha follows up with a young filmmaker inspired by the movie A Time for Burning, returning to his Omaha hometown to investigate the current racial landscape and his difficult yet respectful conversations with his conservative father. Be sure to register for the movie if you'd like to attend. You can learn more on the Community Diversity website. I will invite the Community Diversity Group to come up and speak, but I do want to thank the Community Diversity Group, First United Methodist Church of LaGrange, St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, and the Kind Exchange for their sponsorship of these events, and look forward to seeing everyone at the Unity Rally. With that, I'd let you come up, and then we'll do the proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Kukler. The other people from Community Diversity are shy, and they're putting me up to speak. So, as you know, I'm Becky from LaGrange. Harold, Linda, and Marion are here. And Linda and Marion are really the ones that planned this beautiful event and movie. So you did a very nice job of describing it, and we invite everyone to come and join us, both for the movie and for the Unity Rally. Did I forget anything? And Sherry Robinson is here, and one of our past honorees, Regina McClinton, is here, and Dr. Bessie Boyd as well was one of our honorees. So thank you all. I'm sure you didn't come for this, but thanks for being here.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming out. And again, everybody here and at home, please come out on Sunday, September 13th. I'm now going to read the proclamation. We also have a fancy copy for your records, so we'll make sure that you get a copy of the proclamation once we pass it officially. Whereas the 35th Annual Race Unity Rally is an event to reaffirm the commitment to achieving race unity in LaGrange and surrounding communities. And whereas this year, the Community Diversity Group calls the village together for an uplifting weekend celebration of human diversity, culminating with Race Unity Day. And whereas the concept of unity and diversity is deeply rooted in the fabric of our American society, and whereas progress has been made in the legislative arena, we continue to work to bring us together on a personal level. And whereas the Race Unity Rally will demonstrate the commitment of the people of the village of LaGrange and the surrounding communities to the principle that all are created equal and provide individuals an opportunity to come together in recognition of the oneness of humanity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village of LaGrange, in recognition of the Community Diversity Group's commitment to those qualities and attributes which will generate the recognition that all humanity belongs to one family, to fight prejudice wherever it is found, and to assure that all persons have equal opportunities regardless of their race, does hereby proclaim September 13th, 2026 as Race Unity Day in the village of LaGrange. And with that, I would entertain a motion in a second.
I move for approval of the proclamation as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gall and Trustee O'Brien, on a roll call vote so we can officially acknowledge this.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee McGee.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously, of course. And again, we do have, I can put it over on that table, our proclamation for your files or your display. Next up is the appointment of village officials. On June 8th, 2026, interim appointments to the position of village treasurer and village collector were made. With the finance director position now filled, Lauterbach and Amon is recommended for appointment to these positions and is presented by consent for the village board of trustees. May I have a motion to approve the appointments as presented and a second?
I'll approve.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine and Trustee McGee. Any discussion regarding this item? Seeing none, I'd ask Clerk Saladino for a roll call vote.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
Trustee McGee. Trustee Augustine.
And that passes unanimously. Moving on, it's my pleasure to appoint and reappoint individuals on advisory boards and commissions under item D. On a recurring basis, the village appoints volunteers to serve on a variety of boards and commissions that serve and support the village of LaGrange government. We're fortunate to have these individuals devote their time and talent to the village, and it is my pleasure to share the following appointments and reappointments. A reappointment of Elise Hoffenberg as chairperson of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners for a term expiring in 2029. Reappointment of John Mattern to the Police Pension Board for a term expiring in 2028. Appointment of Ryan Lavore and Stephanie Schwent to the Community and Economic Development Commission for terms expiring in 2029. and the appointment of Tom Cole to the Design Review Commission for a term expiring in 2029. And lastly, the appointment of David Steffel to the Environmental Quality Commission for a term expiring in 2027. May I have a motion to approve the appointments as presented in a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Trustee Peterson, any discussion regarding these appointments? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee McGee? Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. As we just discussed, Lauterbach and Neiman are our accounting firm that is running our finance department. On June 22nd, the village board approved the agreement with Lauterbach and Neiman for client accounting and advisory services. Under that agreement, Kathleen Morley began working for the village as our finance director. I'd like to take a brief moment to introduce Kathleen. She's really done a great job in the time that she's been with us, working with our staff, and we look continuing to work with her. And Kathleen, if you can introduce yourself to everyone.
Sure. My name is Kathleen Morley. I've been with Lauterbach and Amen about 4.5 years now. Previous to that, most of my working career was working for an electric utility in Indiana as their CFO. I have a CPA, an MBA, a master's in tax, and my latest and greatest is a master's in theology. I love learning, continuous learning, and I really enjoy the challenges and working for municipal government. There's always something going on. It doesn't get boring.
Well, that's awesome, and good luck with your continuing studies. And I guess you're fortunate to not be with a utility in northern Indiana as we speak. So, next up, we have a zoning update open house. This upcoming Thursday, August 27th, from 6 to 7:30, residents, business owners, and all community stakeholders are invited to drop into the zoning code update kickoff open house. It's going to be a drop-in format, drop in at any time. Again, during 6 o'clock to 7:30, to learn about the zoning code update, to share your input. Options exist to provide your input online on the project's website. So again, we encourage everyone to get involved and share their thoughts, learn about it, and together we'll update the zoning code. With regard to stormwater management, and it's fitting with the last meeting recognizing Glenn Thompson, the village continues to make progress on stormwater improvements, which includes having accepted bids for storm and sanitary sewer televising and cleaning for a large portion of the sewers located south of 47th Street. By cleaning the sewers, debris that has built up can be removed, increasing sewer capacity and helping mitigate flooding. The project will provide a system performance improvements and will help identify future capital needs. The work is funded through a $500,000 community project funding grant through Congressman Caston's office and administered by the Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. A bid award is expected as soon as the next village board meeting. But again, this was Congressman Caston working with the village board, working with Dry Up LaGrange, trying to mitigate our flooding. The village is also in active discussions, including a meeting tomorrow, with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, MWRD, regarding a 50th Street sewer project and an intergovernmental agreement to fund the project. Major project permits have been issued, and the project is positioned to be bid as early as this fall. We thank the MWRD for their partnership on this project, and we look forward to the next steps and entering that intergovernmental agreement and going out to bid. For better or worse, depending on your position maybe, it's back to school. Students are either back in school or will be shortly. The start of the school year brings a lot of excitement as kids get to reunite with their friends and get settled in on a new school year. To encourage a safe start of the year, the police department has begun their Back to School Safety campaign, which includes paying special attention to school zones and increased presence around schools. Several communications, including social media posts, are planned to help raise awareness of safe travel and school zone safety. Traffic and pedestrian safety is a priority for the village, and we are encouraging everyone to be aware of their surroundings while traveling on the village's roadways and sidewalks. We wish the students and their families a great start for the school year, and we encourage everyone to remain vigilant while traveling in the village. And with that, I would ask Manager Knight to provide a manager's report.
Thank you, President Kugler, and good evening, everyone. A brief note that in observance of Labor Day holiday on Monday, September 7th, village offices will be closed to reopen on Tuesday, September 8th. Due to the holiday, residents north of 47th Street that have their regular pickup on Monday will instead have their pickup on Tuesday, the 8th. Pickups for residents south of 47th Street will have collection service on Friday, September 11th. Item A under the manager's report this evening is a first quarter report for the fiscal year 26-27, and I'd like to invite Director Morley to provide an overview of that report.
All right, thank you. For the past few weeks, I've been working closely with staff, the village manager, trustees Peterson and trustee Saladino to come up with a quarterly financial report that would be informative, timely, and useful for decision making. I have before you here the first quarter financial report, which are pages 12 to 19 of your board packet, if you are looking at your board packet, and that covers the months of May through July. So the headline for the first quarter financial report, if I were to summarize the results, is a good one. The village closed the quarter on solid financial footing. Revenues are slightly higher than budgeted. Expenditures are on plan, including the personnel costs. There is a strong cash position, and the budget is tracking as planned. I'm not going to go over every little line item in here, but I just want to highlight some things that I think are important to point out because they may look like problems, but they're really not. So if you're following along, it would be page 15 of the board packet, the general fund summary. And this is the general fund, which is the main fund for the village. There's a lot of numbers again. On the top are the revenues, all the various taxes, miscellaneous charges. On the bottom are the expenditures by department. If you look at the revenues year to date, there are 8.7 million. The expenditures are 6.1 million. The difference is 2.6 million of excess revenues over expenditures. I want to highlight that that is a timing difference, a temporary situation. By the end of the year, we expect to be at budget of $302,000. The reason why it's so high now is because property taxes come in two large chunks during the year. And if you look at the first line, it'll tell you our property taxes are at 52%. So that's what's making the net look much higher than you would expect for the first quarter of the year. A couple other items I want to highlight. The sales tax year over year looks like it's declining by $72,000. However, the local grocery tax was pulled out. Previously, it was included in that line. Now it's got its own line item. When you add those two together, we are higher than previous year by $51,000. On the expenditure side, I want to highlight the central services. Year over year has declined by $2 million. At the same time, the police and fire have increased year over year by $1 million each. That is due to simply a line item that had been previously budgeted in central services, which was the employer portion of the pension costs, had been moved to their respective departments. So it's really just a shift and no real change there. The next two pages, pages 16 and 17, simply show the general fund revenues and expenditures as compared to budget and as a share of year-to-date actual. The next page, page 18, shows the revenues and expenditures for all the funds of the village at a high-level summary. On this page, I want to highlight just a couple things. The water fund, if you look at it, actual versus budget, it looks like it's below budget by $1 million. The village budgeted for a $4 million IEPA loan for their lead service line projects, so that $1 million there represents 25% of that revenue source. The village has applied for that loan, but has not drawn down on it. If I pull that loan out of that line, The water fund is within $12,780 of budget, so 99% of budget at this point. The other two items on the revenues I want to highlight are the police pension fund and the fire pension fund. Year over year, they're very comparable, but when you look at budget, the budget's much lower. That's because as a village, we don't try to track market changes in pooled investments. So that's never budgeted. But if you look at year over year, they're very comparable. On the expenditure side, the general fund, it looks like it has dropped down. It looks like we've overspent by $472,000. However, that is just, again, a timing difference, how the police and fire pension contributions have been moved from one fund to another, and it doesn't have that seasonality built into it like a lot of the other expenditures. So that's simply a timing difference. And also the capital projects fund, the water fund, when you compare it to actual versus budget, you know, the capital projects are delayed at the federal level. So overall, you can see the expenditures by fund are well under budget simply due to those delays. On the next page, I want to highlight personnel. Personnel is about 70% of your budget because it's a service organization. Now, when you look at year-to-date as percentage of budget, we're at 99%. In fact, favorable by $44,445. And lastly, I just want to highlight the cash balance year over year, and it's broken down by the village-controlled funds and the non-village controlled funds. Non-village controlled funds being the fire pension, police pension, and the 4 fire insurance tax funds. That's what I have for the first quarter. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Director Morley. We do appreciate that information. It's really the first time that the board's gotten a quarterly financial report, and so I think it's helpful for the public. It's definitely helpful for the board. Does the board have any questions regarding that? Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler, and thank you, Director Morley, for that report, as well as highlighting some of those areas where members of the board or members of our viewing public might notice some discrepancies. And ahead of that, you answered and informed us, why those things are the way they are, clearly and concisely, and more of that. We really appreciate that and are looking to have you communicate not just with us, but to the folks who come to our meetings and watch our meetings. So appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
And vote because they've already been considered fully by the board at a previous meeting or have been determined to be of a routine nature. Any member of the Board of Trustees may request an item to be moved from the consent agenda to current business for separate consideration. Item A, an ordinance authorizing renewal of aggregation program for electrical load. Item B, a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 2026 Chevrolet Tahoes from Carl Auto Group. Item C, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2026 Ford Police Interceptor from Curry Motors. Item D, a resolution approving a professional service agreement with RVI Planning plus landscape architecture for landscape architecture plan review and inspection services. Item E, an ordinance granting a design review permit for 21 and 23 South LaGrange Road. Item F, a resolution approving an agreement with All Information Services, AIS, for firewall installation and configuration. And item G, consolidated voucher, August 2026. Current business. This agenda item includes consideration of matters being presented to the Board of Trustees for action. Item A, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of LaGrange and Village of Western Springs for Gilbert Avenue resurfacing project. Item B, an ordinance approving a zoning code amendment regarding a neighborhood meeting requirement for plan development applications. Item C, an ordinance approving a special use permit and site plan to authorize a general automotive repair facility at 335 Washington Avenue, Unit A. Item D, an ordinance approving a variation regarding fence height in a corner side yard at 445 South Sunset Avenue. And item E, a resolution approving a special event permit for the West End Trunk or Treat Car Show.
Thank you, Clerk Saladino. The next item on tonight's agenda is public comments regarding agenda items. Please come to the microphone. Please introduce yourself and thank you.
There you go. Sorry about
much
that.
better. Thanks, Susan.
Susan and Jack McMillan, we submitted an application for a special events permit for the West End Trunk or Treat Show. And we're here if you have any questions, is my point.
Well, you might as well use it for 1 second to publicize. Again, you're with Jack's West End, and the Trunk and Treat is going to be a car show. That's
Yes.
on Sunday.
Sunday, October 4th, we're hoping it will take place on Sunday, October 4th between 2 and 5 p.m. It will be a family event. We're hoping to shut down one block of Burlington between 12 and 5 p.m. And people can come and, for setup, and come and bring their kids and see cool cars and trick or treat from their trunks. So use of the West End when it's very sleepy down there.
That's fantastic. We appreciate you coming out, and we'll have that on the agenda. There's been a lot of clamoring in the community for a car show, so what a great way to do it.
See what happens.
Thanks for spearheading that.
Laura West, you mentioned stormwater management during the meeting, so I hope I can speak now.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I don't have to tell anyone it's been a wild summer with terrible, terrible weather. I just want to get it on the record how much that impacts LaGrange and its residents and its houses. The McCook Reservoir filled up 6 times in the first 6 months of 2026. The previous 5 years, the reservoir filled up 5 times total. We are in trouble. Things are happening at a rate, a pace, and intensity that is not going to bode well for the village without a lot of investment on our end. So I just wanted to thank everybody. Glenn, you've done a lot. Everybody up here has done a lot to work towards flood mitigation. Sunset and Elm is a disaster. Every single rain, it's a disaster. People might get sick of a photo, sick of one house flooding, whatnot. This isn't one house flooding. The flooding is not only in the street. If the flooding was in the street, I would never have stepped into this room, hopefully, for flooding purposes. This is over the parkway, over the sidewalk, literally touching my house at times, and that's not even the storms that get major attention. People flooded this summer who have never gotten water before ever, and it's going to continue to get worse if we don't do something about it. So thank you again for your efforts. We have a lot more floods ahead. We had one in January, go figure, months that were always safe. We're out of town, we're worried about flooding. We're downtown working, we're worried about flooding. It's a tough way to live, and we really appreciate your efforts to help solve this problem sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Al Foreman, 7th Avenue. I'd start by profusely thanking Director Morley and your team for the efforts for the first quarter financial reports. As for the first time in years, we've seen that kind of information, and I really appreciate it. I believe that what gets measured gets managed, and I also think that improved scorekeeping enables increased scrutiny. And in the spirit of scrutiny, I have a couple of comments on the agenda items. Item 5B, which is the new vehicle purchases for the police department. I see it's procured from out-of-state vendor. That's great. I think it would have been nice to have in the write-up maybe an indication of how much we saved by doing that. Curious about that. Notice that the information from Carl Alexander Group has pricing for one vehicle. Unless I missed it, I didn't see anything in there for two vehicles. Maybe it's the same price, but I thought that was missing. Wasn't clear to me if there would be any additional uplifting expenditures. So the amounts that we're spending, is that, over the curb price, or is there more to come? And then I'm the kind of guy who reads the footnotes. In the footnote on the bid, it indicates it's not intended for public disclosure. So not sure if that's a worry or not. So that's all I've got on item 5B. The other items quickly would be the consolidated voucher. So I'm not questioning amounts in the vouchers, but I have a couple observations. On page 161, there's nearly a $40,000 payment for Open Government, Inc. I think it'd be worthy in a subsequent meeting or information sharing, a little explanation of what that service or software will do and how that will dovetail with the $350,000 that's planned for the new ERP system. So I think just in layman's terms, what are we spending all this money on? How is that going to help reporting, timeliness, saving resources, et cetera? Page 88, there's a disbursement for landscaping inspection services. And there's invoices that are related to McDonald's that are charged to the community development budget. And there's invoices to Chase and Mason Point that are charged to other accounts. I'm curious whether or not those amounts are recoverable, or said differently, why is some of it being charged to a budget for the village and some of it, I think, may be charged to a receivable account. So some further explanation on that. And the final point I would make is on page 194, there's $4,154 that's described as a module repair on a Ford Explorer. And I'd just like to make sure that the vehicles being replaced there's 3 vehicles being replaced here. Hopefully, one of the vehicles that is being replaced did not just have $4,000 spent on it. So that's my comments there. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name's John Pluto, resident of LaGrange. Since we can talk on flooding issues.
Spend your 3 minutes however you'd like, John.
Very good. I want to talk about the Maple Avenue Sewer Project. The new 84-unit development shows very high density, and that Maple Avenue Sewer comes down right at the corner of that project there. And I think we're going to have some environmental issues right at that point. And we know that Maple Avenue Sewer needs to stay as open as possible to stop the flooding that's going down to Sunset, to Elm, all those streets there that are affected. We created this project. Now we're going to cover up task order number 4 back in 2021 shows that Burke Engineering did a study for a water reservoir on that 3 acres on Bluff Avenue. So does that mean that's going to compromise our system that's going to take the load off of Cosset Avenue? I think that we would have better spent $900,000 on that 3 acres to make sure that our flood control project was taken care of instead of a parking lot. And I don't know where you're going to go with this because I just came from the meeting over at the library, and those guys didn't even know where the water went out of this town. And they're saying, we're going to get all of our information for the village. I'm really pretty scared here because we're designing a system and then we're going to let a developer develop over 3 acres that was possibly going to be a reservoir for it, or kind of a hedge if it did get to that point. So I'm going to leave it there. You're going to approve this project, and I hope that you don't, because it's not going to work with the Maple Avenue sewer.
Thank you.
Jonathan Robinson, I'm a resident. I'd just like to say thank you to the Board and Plan Commission for taking up agenda item 6B and moving forward with the neighborhood meetings requirements for developers. It's an important step, and I appreciate completing an idea that I originally brought forward. As we move forward with these new developments and additional density in this village, I hope we continue to approach growth carefully and thoughtfully, and that we put in place the kinds of safeguards and community engagement requirements that are standard in larger and more densely developed municipalities. Thank you for moving this forward. To follow up my email that I had sent about agenda item 2C that you've already voted on, basically I have some concerns about the proposed appointment of Lauterbach and Amen as the village treasurer. My understanding of the Illinois Municipal Code is that the village appoints a treasurer, which is the individual who holds the municipal office, not a corporation. The statute specifically addresses the qualifications of a person holding an appointed municipal office and provides for the appointment of a treasurer. The appointed office has the requirement to undertake an oath. No one took an oath for either office, the village treasurer or collector today. Providing services and actually holding a statutory municipal office are not necessarily the same thing. I would ask the board to clarify that distinction in the legal basis. Grays Lake, Barrington Hills, and Tower Lakes all use the same company as we are using, and all three have appointed a specific employee of Lauterbach and Amen to the appointed village treasurer role and swore them in for that. For agenda item 5E, which is the Design Review Commission approval, I want to point out a significant process concern. Look at agenda items 6B, 6C, and 6D, and you'll see that they all contain formal findings of fact as required by the Village Zoning Code, and those are correct. But this design review approval does not. Section 13104H requires every design review commission decision to be made by written resolution and include findings of fact. These findings are important because they show how the commission applied the code to the specific application. After attending the meeting, I believe the reason these findings are missing is that the required compatibility analysis never actually occurred. The design review standards require evaluating whether proposed alternatives are consistent and compatible with neighboring buildings. That comparison was not meaningfully discussed, and when I asked in that meeting what staff should put in those facts of findings, I was told essentially whatever we usually do. Findings of fact should, first and foremost, exist, but also not be whatever we usually do. They should explain the facts, the standards applied, and why the applications satisfy those standards. This isn't about for or against the design, it's about following the process this village adopted. If we have a design review commission, it needs to actually perform the review the code requires. I ask the board to ensure the required findings are made and that the required compatibility standards are actually addressed in the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, before I go on to a vote on the consent agenda, with regard to the appointment of Lauterbach and Amen as the controller, treasurer, can our attorney Schuster, address that, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The board received an email from Mr. Robinson that cited several provisions of the Illinois Municipal Code, none of which actually say that or prohibit whatsoever a firm from holding the position. If you read those positions or those provisions, they talk about the appointment of a treasurer and collector, but notably absent is something that, as I said, is a prohibition. AI can generate a lot of information, but there is no reason that it cannot be held by a firm. And quite frankly, it's better for the village. For the village perspective, we are backed by the insurance of Lauterbach and Amen. They are required to carry it. They can indeed post a bond. and they indeed can take an oath of office through their representative, and there's no reason they can't. So quite frankly, from our position, we see it's about, number one, that the one backing the actions is the entire firm, and that's a stronger backing. Number two, it's about continuity of service, the ability of a firm to provide services. We certainly don't hope that anything happens to our new director, but whether it's medical leave or other changes, we have people who can step into her shoes. We are hiring a firm. So legally speaking, we see no issue with it whatsoever.
Thank you, Attorney Schuster. And with that, I would ask for a motion and a second on the consent agenda.
I move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale and Trustee Augustine. Any discussion on consent agenda items?
President Kukler, yes. As previously stated, I recuse myself from voting on any agenda items related to the village prosecutor.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, I'd request a roll call vote.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee McGee.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Moving on to current business. The first item under current business I will introduce, and it is a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Grange and the Village of Western Springs for resurfacing Gilbert Avenue. As most people know, Gilbert Avenue is on our western border, and we share it with Western Springs. In March of 2023, the Village of Western Springs applied for and was awarded a $55,000 grant through the 2023 Invest in Cook program to fund Phase 2 engineering services for Gilbert Avenue STP resurfacing project from Ogden to 47th Street. The Village of Western Springs is receiving federal surface transportation program funds, which will be used in funding the roadway construction and engineering for the project. For construction and Phase 3 engineering services to commence, an additional intergovernmental agreement is required. Through the proposed intergovernmental agreement, each village will be responsible for approximately 11.25% of the construction and the construction engineering costs not covered by the second phase of the STP or other grant funding. This is an amount to be estimated at $159,657. With that, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve this entering into the intergovernmental agreement.
I move for approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the Grange and the Village of Western Springs.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Trustee O'Brien, any questions, comments regarding item A? Seeing none, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
Trustee McGee.
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Moving on to item B, I think we're going to tee up Trustee Peterson for a few of these. If you can lead us on B.
In January, the Plan Commission considered several text amendments proposed by a resident, PC case number 286, including suggested amendments to add requirement for a neighborhood meeting for all applications for plan developments. The commission expressed general support for mandatory neighborhood meeting requirement, but expressed reservations about administration of the requirements proposed by the applicant. The village board recently directed staff to prepare proposed amendments to the village zoning code related to the application procedure for plan developments to add a requirement for neighborhood meetings prior to a public hearing on any plan development application. Zoning Code Section 14-101C 1 provides any application requiring a public hearing must be submitted by 5 p.m. on the fourth Thursday preceding the requested hearing. On average, this is about 26 days prior to the hearing date. Under the terms of the proposed amendment, applicants for planned developments will be required at that time to provide the village proof they have conducted a required neighborhood meeting. Applications for planned developments must send their invitations to neighbor meetings no less than 15 days prior to the meeting, a neighborhood meeting, and invitations must be sent to the taxpayer of record for all properties within 250 feet of the property that is the subject of the planned development application. The Plan Commission conducted a public hearing on July 14th, 2026. The commissioners found that the proposed text amendment is in keeping with the goals of the Village Zoning Code and the Comprehensive Plan. The Plan Commission amended the language proposed by the village staff, adding language to clarify that the neighborhood meeting is a requirement for the initial public hearing and would not apply to continuations or if a case was remanded to the Plan Commission from the village board. After deliberation, the Plan Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the application with minor modifications. So, the staff recommends consideration of the attached ordinance and is reflective of the recommendation of the Plan Commission. I move to approve a zoning code amendment regarding a neighborhood meeting requirement for planned development applications.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson and Trustee Augustine. Any conversation, discussion, questions on this item? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee Augustine? Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee McGee? Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. On to C. Trustee Peterson.
And this is an ordinance approving a special use permit and site plan to authorize general automotive repair at 335 Washington Avenue, Unit A. MLux Auto Services LLC, the applicant, the lessee of 335 Washington Avenue, Unit A, the subject property, has requested a special use permit and site plan approval to operate general automotive repair facility at the subject property. The Plan Commission conducted a public hearing on the request on July 14th, 2026. The applicant presented testimony regarding the operations of the proposed use and the proposed site plan. No members of the public spoke at the hearing. The Plan Commission generally agreed that the proposed use met the criteria for approval of a special use permit, with conditions to ensure the repair operations do not have an adverse impact on the surrounding area. After deliberation, the Plan Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the application with conditions. Conditions include a prohibition on outdoor vehicle parking longer than 48 hours, as well as requiring a pedestrian walkway to be striped along the north side of the building to provide a connection from the shared parking lot to the entrance to Unit B in the building. Staff and the village attorney have prepared the attached proposed amendment pursuant to the Plan Commission, and I am accepting and agree with the Plan Commission recommendation. I move to approve the ordinance approving a special use permit to authorize a general automotive repair facility at 335 Washington Avenue, Unit A.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson and Trustee O'Brien. Any discussion regarding this matter? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Moving back to Trustee Peterson for item D.
This is an ordinance approving a variation regarding fence height in a corner side yard at 445 South Sunset Avenue. Nancy Walls, the applicant, is the owner of the property at 445 South Sunset Avenue, the subject property, and has applied for variation from zoning code section 9-105D.2B to allow for the construction of a 6-foot fence in the corner side yard on subject property. On August 13th, the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on the application. The subject property is located at the intersection of South Sunset Avenue and 47th Street with the corner side lot along 47th Street. Subject property currently has a non-conforming 6-foot fence in the corner side yard. Per zoning code section 9-105D.2B, the maximum fence height in the corner side yard between the principal structure and the corner side lot line is 3.5 feet. The application would like to replace the existing fence with a similar 6-foot fence. The proposed fence would be 6 feet tall along the corner side lot line, then slope down to 3.5 feet before running north towards the principal structure, parallel to the front lot line along Sunset Avenue. The ZBA found that the variation would not impact the essential character of the surrounding residential area and noted similar previously approved variation requests. The ZBA also found that there is no other reasonable remedy for the requested relief. After the hearing was closed, ZBA deliberated and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the requested variation. I am accepting the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I move to approve a variation regarding fence height in a corner side yard at 445 South Sunset Avenue.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson and Trustee Augustine. Any question, comment, discussion on this one? Trustee Augustine.
I do. Thank you, President Kukler. I just wanted to get some clarity and maybe talk just briefly, if you would, Charity possibly, about this. You know, the ZBA has receives many fence variation requests. Fences on the busier streets tend to receive support for all the reasons noted. And you and I briefly discussed, and maybe you could just share in your expert language a little bit more about why we tend to be sympathetic to these types of properties, and that being said, how we're going to look at it as the code change project moves forward. And this will be on that list of to-dos.
Sure, absolutely happy to. Just briefly, on the corner side, lot line fences can be 6 feet where the rear yard is, but as soon as that fence gets to the back corner of the house, it's required by our code to be 3.5 feet. And then it can go up to the front of the house, and then it has to end because our code doesn't allow for front yard fences. There have been a number of previous variation requests for this same relief that's being requested tonight. Over the past years, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like about 8 of them that are included in the ZBA staff memo that were all previously approved. So typically when you see the same kinds of relief being requested and consistently being approved over and over again, those are the kinds of things that you want to look at when you're updating your zoning code to reevaluate what those standards really should be. So this is definitely one of the provisions among many that we'll be looking at in the zoning code update.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions or comments, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Last up is the West End Trunk or Treat Car Show. And that again goes to Trustee Peterson.
Busy night. The village special event policy requires permits for various types of special events. Village board authorization is required for special event permit applications that propose to fully occupy village property or close a public right-of-way. Jack's West End has proposed a trunk or treat car show on Sunday, October 4th, 2026, as further described in the attached narrative. The event will include classic vehicles on display, with event participants distributing Halloween candy to attendants. The event is to be held on the 600 block of Burlington Avenue between Stone Avenue and Wayola Avenue from 2 to 5 p.m. A road closure of the 600 block is requested from noon to 5 p.m. No food or drink is proposed aside from the distribution of prepackaged candy. The event organizers note that Sunday afternoons are typically low demand for parking in the area as many businesses are closed. The event is intended to provide a family-friendly event to draw visitors to the area during non-peak times. If met with approval, the village board, the police department intends to participate in the event as part of the department's ongoing community engagement efforts. You going to pass out candy? Yeah. For the special event policy, event organizers are required to pay fees to offset administrative and operational expenses. For this event, those expenses include general processing as well as staff overtime associated and barricade placement and removal. I move to approve the resolution authorizing a special event permit for West End Trunk or Treat event.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson and Trustee Gale. Any discussion regarding this matter? Trustee Augustine.
Hi, not so much a discussion, but just a comment. I love this, and I'm thrilled to see it. We've got our Oktoberfest coming up, which is a brand new event, and now this. And it's just really exciting for the business community and for the residents who love to traipse through it. Susan and Jack, you have put together a wonderful business in an area of the community that certainly is glad to have it. I shop there quite a bit. It's where I get all the things for my husband and others. It's really lovely. It's a great concept. It's incredibly creative, as is your store. And it's going to be family friendly, easy to attend, and just kind of walk around that really beautiful part of our town. And it just brings a lot more attention to it. So just thanks for putting it together. I know it's a lot of work, and you had to bring it forward and jump through all these hoops, but I think we're all really excited to see it. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Augustine. Seeing no other comments, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee McGee?
Aye.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Again, thank you. We're excited and looking forward to it. Next on the agenda is public comments regarding matters not on tonight's agenda.
Good evening. Dr. Bessie Boyd, resident of LaGrange. First of all, I do want to say thank you for item B. We had an opportunity to sit in the presentation for the 84 units, and that is why I stand today. And I do have a statement. First of all, initially I would like to say that I did email each of the board members our community concerns and develop the community impact, rather, and the development concerns that we have regarding the 84 units on Granbury Yard. So, I'm speaking regarding that proposal. We are asking the village to approach this proposal with one overriding principle. The burden should be on the proposed development to demonstrate that it is appropriate for this location, not on existing residents to prove after the fact that this development created problems. Before decisions are made, residents deserve answers supported by data, We need to understand the impact on traffic, parking, water and sewer capacity, stormwater management, utilities, emergency services, neighborhood character, existing infrastructure, and the cumulative impact of other residential developments in LaGrange, including 112 East Burlington. We also have significant questions regarding the environmental history of the three properties associated with this proposal: 408 East Cossett Avenue, 511 East Cossett Avenue, and 400 East Elm Avenue, and the historical instructional railroad corridor around them. Your own village records document petroleum-related soil and groundwater concerns at 408 East Cossett. The other two parcels have different histories and should receive their own parcel-specific environmental review rather than being assumed to have the same conditions. These separate environmental conditions do not establish that Granby Yard or neighboring homes are contaminated. They do establish why environmental history and testing should not be an afterthought. Residents are requesting the parcel-by-parcel environmental review, appropriate testing, infrastructure analysis, cumulative development analysis, and meaningful access to results before final decisions are made. We are also asking the village to examine density. Why 84 units? What alternatives were evaluated? What objective criteria demonstrate that this number is appropriate for this location? Our position is straightforward. No development of this scale should move forward until the village and developer demonstrate thorough independent data, environmental testing, infrastructure analysis, and the meaningful public review, that the proposal is appropriate for this site and adequately protects existing residents in the long-term interest of LaGrange. Development decisions that you will make can affect our community for decades. We respectfully ask the village to obtain the facts, make those facts available to residents, provide sufficient time for meaningful public review, and make it the decision based on that evidence. In addition, you will find on page 3 that was sent to you a formal submission and request for our packet to be included in the public record. Please accept this packet, the community impact and development concerns proposed of the 84 units at Granbury. We respectfully request that this packet be included in the appropriate public records associated with the review and consideration of the proposed Granbury Yard development and be made available to the appropriate village officials involved in reviewing the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd.
Good evening. My name is John Pluto. I'm speaking regarding the environmental conditions and environmental history surrounding the proposed Granby Yard development. Tonight, I want to address the soil, groundwater, and the environmental history of this redevelopment corridor. Our questions are based on documented conditions. Village records show that a leaking 1,000-gallon underground gasoline storage tank at 40 East Cossett Avenue. The village reported petroleum contamination of soil and groundwater and contamination extending into the adjacent village alley. Our environmental questions now extend beyond that one property. The Park District of LaGrange reports that testing identified contamination in the northeast portion of the Sedgwick Park. The Park District of LaGrange reports that the testing identified contamination in the northeast portion of the Sedgwick Park, and the affected area entered the Illinois EPA site remediation program. Public reporting has identified metals including arsenic, lead, and mercury. And that park is the park where our 12-inch water main runs across in the mercury bed. Have we done anything on that? I can't ask questions. I'm just telling you what's wrong. Okay? So at some point, we're going to have to address that water pipe because it's laying in mercury. And Mr. O'Brien told me that that pipe was put in 1964. So we're flirting with disaster. We want to be, our environmental questions now extend beyond we already read that one. We want to be precise. These findings do not prove that the Granby Yard, 511 Cosset Avenue, or neighboring homes are contaminated, nor are we claiming that these separate environmental conditions share a common source. But we raise the fundamental question: has anyone examined the environmental history of the corridor comprehensively? Questions have specifically arisen about 511 Cosset Avenue. We ask whether the Park District, Village, Illinois EPA, previous owners, consultants, the railroad, or another entity has ever conducted an environmental, soil, groundwater, geotechnical, phase 1, phase 2, or brownfield studies there. If those studies exist, residents should be allowed to review them. For every parcel proposed for the Granby Yard, we request the environmental history, phase 1 assessment, phase 2 testing where warranted, soil and groundwater laboratory results, underground storage tanks, Illinois EPA documentations, institutional controls, and the map showing sampling locations and known environmental conditions. Where qualified professionals determine it appropriate, potential soil gas and vapor pathways should be evaluated. We also request a map showing a proposed development boundary, existing residents, historic industrial properties, environmental sampling locations, and documented environmental conditions. Before former industrial property is converted to residential use, residents should not have to guess what's beneath the ground. Our request is simple. Test it where warranted. Document it, disclose the results, demonstrate that the existing and future residents will be protected before approval is granted. We ask the village to connect the dots, not assume the dots are connected, but investigate whether they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pluto.
Good evening. My name is Regina McClinton, resident of LaGrange. I would like to address the proposed density of Granby Yard. Density is not simply a planning term. It determines how many household, vehicles, buildings, and demand on infrastructure are constructed on a particular piece of land. Granby Yard is currently being discussed as a 84-unit townhome development. Our first question is simply, why 84? In the meeting earlier today, and I'm glad they did have the neighborhood meeting, I asked that question, and I was told it was because of the village comprehensive plan would allow it. So I think there's something there that the village needs to look into. Okay, what analysis determined that 84 unit? We now understand the proposal involved 408 East Cosset Avenue, 511 East Cosset Avenue, and 400 East Elm Avenue. The developer should show how 84 units are allocated among those three properties, and acreage of each parcel, and the dwelling units are acres calculated for each property as well as for the combined development. Not only the 84 units, we need to be sure that density cannot be evaluated merely by asking whether 48 units physically fit. We need to plan for
Every additional household contribution to demands on street, parking, water, sanitary, sewer, stormwater system, utility, emergency service, schools, and other village infrastructures. Density also affects setback, green space, impervious structure, surfaces, building mass, neighborhood appearance, and the relationship between new construction and existing homes. Granby Yards also should not be evaluated by itself alone. We ask the village to provide a cumulative development analysis showing the combined effects of Granby Yard, 112 East Burlington, and other recently approved, pending, or reasonably anticipated development on traffic, parking, utilities, stormwater, etc. We also asked the developer to present a meaningful lower density alternative, a parcel by parcel comparison, and show residents that each of these three properties would look like with fewer units. Compare traffic generation, parking, green space, impervious surface, stormwater, utility demand, building height and setback, and neighborhood compatibility. Finally, we asked the village to establish objective criteria. In what point would a proposal of this density be considered too great for this location? If traffic, environmental, infrastructure, stormwater, or public service studies identify specific impacts, will the number of units be reduced? And I did have a question too in regards for, I know we came before saying we wanted more affordable housing, but at that meeting they indicated that that affordable housing would be 600 plus thousand for a unit. I'm not sure whose affordability that is.
Jonathan Robbins, I'm a resident. Thank you for answering that question. Next time, please just respond to my email. It was important enough to talk to your lawyer, but it wasn't important enough to respond to my email. It's not how you treat residents. Good evening. As we prepare for the next major development to come before the Plan Commission, I want to ask the Commission and the Village Board to do something essential for a fair and transparent process. Clearly identify every way that proposed development does not conform to the existing zoning requirements. If this project is coming before the Plan Commission for a public hearing because it cannot be built entirely within the existing zoning requirement, then let's be clear about what the developer is asking the village to approve beyond what they could build by right. Are they asking for greater density, more units, greater lot coverage, reduced setbacks, additional height, or other special privileges? Wherever those requests are, the public deserves to see them clearly identified as soon as possible. But there's another part of this conversation that's been missing in past developments. What's the community receiving in return? When a developer asks for additional rights or flexibility beyond the normal zoning requirements, the compensating amenities should be an important part of the discussion. Those amenities should be meaningfully balanced against the additional benefits being granted to the developer. And who is best positioned to tell us what would make the development work better? The people who live next door, the people across the street, the residents who will experience the additional traffic, density, changes in privacy, views, parking, drainage, landscaping, and neighborhood character. They know what they need. That is why we have a public hearing. The Plan Commission should not simply be a place where a developer presents a finished proposal. It should be a meaningful conversation and, most appropriately, a negotiation between the developer and the community. If we are going to grant additional density, height, reduced setbacks, or other departures from normal zoning standards, then let's make sure the community receives meaningful compensating amenities in return, and that those amenities actually address the concerns of the people most affected. So for this upcoming development, please clearly disclose every deviation from the zoning code. Clearly explain what the developer is asking the village to grant. Clearly identify the compensating amenities being offered. And most importantly, listen to the residents about what those amenities should be. The residents are the ones who live with the consequences long after the developer has moved on. My last note is basically, now is the time, for village elections or people that are looking to run for trustee in the April election. If you're interested in getting involved, now is the time to begin that process for the April election. I'm personally looking for people willing to listen to residents, take their concerns seriously, and most importantly, respond to them. Ultimately, the people behind that table are supposed to be the voices of the residents. The votes behind that table should match the voices of those residents, not replace them. I intend to run in the upcoming election to try to change what's going on here because I haven't had as much success as I would like from behind this podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Seeing no other public comments, next on the agenda is trustee reports or comments. Any trustees wishing to comment? Trustee Peterson.
I actually do have something else to say. I did want to say that I attended the Native Plant Neighborhood Walk earlier this summer, and that was hosted by the Environmental Quality Commission. I learned a lot, and I greatly enjoyed visiting residents' gardens. The hosts let us wander around their backyards and side yards. They were very welcoming, very gracious, answered all our questions, and I learned that I actually have some native plants in my front yard. I didn't know that. Special thanks to Lyons Township High School, specifically the North Campus. On the west side of the building, there is a beautiful native plant garden, and I hope I got a chance to meet and talk to some of the students who are helping to maintain that. So overall, thanks very much to EQC. Had a great time, and I look forward to it for next year.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. Seeing no other trustee comments, and we are not going into closed session today, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
And all in favor of adjourning at 9:10, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thank you.